This is the Real Good Procast with your hosts, Declan DeBarb, Ian Blumenthal, and Marshall Heath.
Welcome to the Real Good Procast. You're joined by your host, Declan DeBarb, alongside my good friend, Ian Blumenthal.
What's up, boys?
And we
hey,
gave,
girls.
And we gave producer Seb a mic tonight for our Halloween special.
Yay.
Spooky.
We're just going to talk about some scary things tonight. And where else would we start but in Toronto? With the injury to Austin Matthews. He's supposed to be out 4 weeks. He won't require surgery, which is good. And if the timeline is to be expected, as we're being told, it's Boston on the November 26th that his return will be.
Well, you don't really know when this return's actually going to be. It's really far out right now. But good thing is I'm pretty sure this is his other shoulder than what happened last year, because last year was his right shoulder and he missed 10 games.
It was a
This year
separated
it's his-
shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, this year it's his left shoulder, so it's not just his one area that's going to be a problem for his whole career. It's just an awkward hit, stuff happens. You never know, but I think that the Leafs are going to have to pick it up like the rest of everybody, because that man had 16 points in 10 games, 11 games? 10 and a bit, because he got injured. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not a sight Leafs fans would want to see. I mean, I saw it, and I cursed Jacob Trouba's name to the heavens. I said some things I wish I could take back against Jacob Trouba. It was a clean hit, but he hurt Austin, and that's not something you do without Leafs fans getting a little bit emotional.
And I feel bad for the guy, because he didn't mean to hurt him, but he was just making a hard play, and then... Yeah. Hurts the guy. I feel bad for Matthews, but, he's going to have to deal with some injuries throughout his career. Everyone does. And if you don't, you're really lucky. And the process is just coming back from it and seeing if you can be better than from before.
And it's mainly there's no surgery required, so it's mainly just torn shoulder? Or? It's just something that can easily be fixed, so it's not a career-ending injury, and because he was just playing hard, there was no actual intent to injure. It's completely fine. It happens.
The problem is it's the shoulder, and you never know with the shoulder. It's like the knee. You mess it up once, it's never going to be fun to use again. But I'm just going to throw a quick stat out there. The Leafs missed Matthews for a good chunk of games last year, 20 in total. The Leafs were 11-7-2 without Matthews in the lineup last season. Their power play was 34.6%, and Mitch Marner absolutely tore up the league, scoring 7 goals and 17 assists.
Well, we can take that, and then we can put it right to where we have John Tavares now. So, our number 2 center, John Tavares, is now our number 1 center. And I don't know about you, but I think John Tavares is a pretty good number 1 center.
Well, I don't know. He's not really proven at that top level. He hasn't played it there for us. I mean, what is he to the likes of Tyler Bozak?
I don't know, man. Bozak was the man. I miss that guy. But John Tavares, guy can play hockey better than most other people out there.
Good player or good pro?
Good player.
Oh, yeah. What's the difference between a good player? Why don't you give us some Mike Babcockian?
Well, a real good player is a guy who comes out and he's got the skill and he works hard and he goes. No, a real good pro, he might not have all those skills that a real good player has, but he works hard every day. He shows up every day to work, and he works harder than anyone else. Thanks,
Mike. Let's just get back into this. I mean, the Leafs had one of the deadliest center cores in the entire league going into this season. They had Matthews and Tavares and Kadri right down the middle. What does this mean for Kadri, who now has 3 goals in as many games? He's given a little bit more responsibility up on the second line. They're throwing the Mar line back together. You know what? I think Kadri needs this. He needs some better players to play with. In terms of Leafs depth, there's not much behind him. I mean, you always have the question of if you bring Patty into play center. I know that's not what we signed him for, but he can when Willie comes back. Not if, and we're not going to get into that today because you can't have a show without William Nylander, but I'm solely entirely over that that entire debate. I just want
I'm
it to
done.
ratify itself. Or do you have Josh Joris in the minors that you could use?
I'm. It's sketchy because we right now have. Well, we could use Lindholm. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what Babs did do against Calgary.
Yeah, like we use Lindholm at center, and then we have Goat too. But when Nylander signs, he might, or sorry, I can't say when because we don't actually know when. But when he signs, he will probably take over that center spot. He's not going to be a fourth line center, so I don't think he's going to stay a center when Matthews gets back. But he's a good replacement, and if you're trying to train him on defensive end a lot more, maybe put him at the center position. It might help.
Well, that's obviously assuming Nylander will come back before Matthews comes back.
Listen, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
We've done it before. There's no point in talking about it again. But
I wouldn't put Marlowe at center.
Fair enough.
I don't
think
think
he's
Marlowe
slowing
has the
down.
speed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's just getting too old.
Yeah. I wouldn't put him. I would think about taking Juris, though.
Calling him up.
Yeah. But it'd be questionable because then I don't know if we could send him back down.
He would have to pass through waivers.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't watched much of the Marlies this year.
They had a slow start.
They did. I don't know anything about Juris really, but I think that the Leafs will be fine without Matthews. I think that the game in Calgary, which they looked absolutely horrible in, is an outlier. They laid an egg, and I don't think it's something we need to worry about. Like I said, this team was still good without Matthews, and we slapped John Tavares onto this team.
Yeah, we could argue that we also lost like JVR and Bozak, and I think more notably was JVR of those two.
Well, those guys were playing in sheltered minutes, so I'm not that. I'm less worried about that. They're
Reasonable.
great offensive
but they were
players.
really good working with Mitchie on the power play,
yeah.
especially. Like our power play is nuts right now, but when you're subbing out Matthews for Kapanen, it's like it's a big downgrade.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we saw it in the game against Calgary. They weren't great on the power play. They did score.
Yeah.
Nazem
Their
Kadri.
one goal.
That
He did score.
is. But I mean, John Tavares knows how to quarterback a power play. That's not something I'm concerned about. But I mean, it's a whole new system for him to learn.
No, yeah, for sure. It's completely different. And I think the Leafs are doing a lot of stretch passes in like the past couple games I've watched, and I don't really like it, but I can't really argue with Mike Babcock because A, I am not worth anything to him, so he doesn't care what I think.
Fair.
And B, he is way more decorated as a coach than almost any coach. He's probably one of the best of all time. So I'm like, okay, you do you, bro.
Now listen, Ian, you don't know shit, kid. You don't know shit. I've been a coach from Regina, Saskatchewan forever. I know real good players. Don't tell me what you're doing.
That's what Babs would say to you.
There was that one quote that if you watch any Leafs hype video, it's just Mike Babcock, and he's like, good players, they bring it sometimes, but great players, they bring it every F word night. And I don't want to say the word that he used because we're trying to be clean here and family friendly, but that's what he said, and that's the coach of the Maple Leafs right there, and I respect that man more than anything else.
I mean, I completely disagree with Babs on a lot of things. I don't. It's a lot to do with his defensive pairings, but I mean, I think this team is just better on the road. He doesn't get his time to overcoach. He doesn't work the matchups, and I think that's what you need to do as a Leafs team. I think you see them play so much better on the road because Babs goes so hard in the match game. But when we're on the road, we can just roll lines.
Yeah, that's very true. And we've looked really, really, really good on the road. Like, I don't think there's a single road game that we haven't looked at least decent. We have had 2 home games that I would really like back. It's like specific home games, Ottawa and Calgary.
Well, the thing with the
Don't forget St. Louis.
Yeah, the Calgary game, it could have been just a completely rusty. Like they're not used to those lines. It's a completely different dynamic of just changing the lines around. So
They did work a lot together last year, especially the Marquette Mar line.
Yeah, Seb, I don't think it's
But-
that. I think it's...
No, it could be. Like when you lose a guy like that and then you put Tavares up with Hyman and was it Hyman and Marlowe?
it's not.
No, it's Hyman and Kapanen.
Oh, Hyman and Kapanen. Like when you're losing a playmaker on the line.
they're not absolved of like playing the bad game. Yeah, they played a bad game. It's not like, oh, this is the answer. It's obviously because it's the first game, but it's just part of the reason that they just completely bricked against Calgary.
I think they bricked against Calgary because they got simply outworked. Calgary was so good at pressuring us in the
Yeah,
defensive
but we were also
zone.
really bad at
But Calgary played well.
clearing the puck and at creating space for ourselves. They clogged up the neutral zone, and we literally didn't know what to do because we would try stretch passes and we would just turn it over.
Well, yeah, the Leafs just don't have good puck moving defensemen. That's the issue.
Well,
That's
we
been the-
do,
That's been
but
the
we
issue
just
since
don't
the
have-
beginning. It's their utilization. I mean, we saw probably the most unlikely thing in
Riley
the game
and
against
Gardner?
Calgary. No, Martin Marincin taking a face-off.
Oh,
and
that was so funny. I was like, no way.
He walked up to. I think he was the worst player on the ice to take that penalty, including the goalie. Like I think if Freddie came and took the face-off, he would have had a better chance.
His reaction of him like getting swapped in, he's like, "What?"
It was
You
Hainsey,
sure?
Marincin, and Hyman or Kapanen. I don't
It was,
remember.
it was a 4-on-3.
I think it was Tavares.
No,
Was it Tavares?
No, it was
Our-
not.
He
Oh,
got
it
thrown.
might-
I think
might
it was
have been-
Tavares, and he
it
got
was-
thrown out of the dot.
And then it was
Oh.
Hainsey and Marincin. I was like, oh, who's it gonna be?
He just walks up like, I'm not sure about this coach.
Who's gonna lose this face off?
He showed up, and the ref dropped, and is like, "This ain't it, Chief."
Chief called. He said,
this
"This is
ain't
not.
it."
This ain't it."
So I don't know if Martin Marincin is really the 4C that the Leafs need in this situation. If another guy goes down,
Man, I don't know. Like he could come up there. Like he's been working on his face-offs. You could tell on that one.
Oh,
He almost
yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
He almost got it there.
I don't think he moved his stick.
I think he put it down and was like, "I'm just gonna lose this."
I don't think he moved it. Actually, it was
No.
so funny.
Probably not.
But what do we do if, let's say, another Leaf gets hurt, though? Getting back onto the topic of Matthews.
Well, it depends if it's a center or it's a winger. Because if we lose another center, that's a big chunk of our team.
Yeah.
And we are missing Matthews for 4 weeks, so now it's 3.5.
One thing to note, the Marlies will be on the road for the entire month because they have a pageant in Toronto that comes to Coca-Cola Arena every single year for an entire month. So they spend the entire month on the road.
Yeah.
So calling players back will be quite difficult. There's a lot of travel in there.
Yeah, that's not
So
ideal.
it's not an ideal time to be a Leafs fan or a Leafs player.
Well,
this was a team that had a lot of depth, but we lose our big guy. And I mean, every organization is going to hurt when you lose your best player. But
Yeah. Like, remember Tampa?
yeah, that was a perfect storm 2 years ago when they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
lost.
that was-
They were losing what? Stammer and Hedman.
Yeah.
Stammers broke his leg. I don't remember specifically, but injuries are something that the Leafs need to worry about. And I think that
Well, every team has to worry about injuries, but it's less prevalent when you're shit.
When
You
you're
know what
not,
I mean?
when
Like,
you're not a
when
good
you're a
team.
shit team and you lose a guy, you're like, whatever, we're still shit.
No one expects it. It's like you lose a player, it's like, yeah, okay, we're
Like
losing
Ottawa
anyway.
lost Brady Kachuk, and everyone was like it's not going to end anything because it's not helping us.
one player, I mean, we mentioned it before. We mentioned Kadri, and I think that Kadri is really the answer to Matthews going down. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the entire league.
Oh, his value. He is so important to our team, and we have a 4.5 cap for him for the next 6 years. No, it's
No, it's 3
it's
years.
like 3. Oh, haha, till 2022. I forget how close that is. Like I still think it's 2012.
Yeah. Time flies.
Nassim
It's
Kadri's
crazy.
contract expires
22 or 21. Or
20 the end of the 2021-2022 season.
Oh, I was right.
Next, you're going to tell me Matt
Hey.
Sundin retired.
So that's 1, 2. Hold on. After this year,
It's 4.
It's 4.
It's 4.
so it's 3.
It's 3 after this year.
Yeah, it's
3
3
after
after
this
this
year.
year.
I think Kadri is
Man.
crucial. I mean, Ian Tulloch's article was fantastically written in The Athletic. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But he just analyzes Kadri in the offensive zone and the defensive zone, and he talks about the players that he's had to play with. And Kadri has not had a good time with line mates, barring the couple of games last year he played with Marlowe and Marner, where he was almost a point-a-game player.
And now he's back with that line. And I don't know if you know this, but he got a goal last game and the game before. And both of those times, I think it was assisted by Marner.
I just want to read you Kadri's most common line mates since the 2014-15 season.
Oh, no.
Because all of the thinking in the analytics community has gone to the better the players you play with, the better player you're going to be, and I think that is kind of an obvious thing to say.
Well, look
but
happening, man.
but a
Look at
lot
that.
of but a lot of people have thought that it's more the competition you play against, and Kadri plays against some of the best competition with some of the worst players on the Leafs. So here are the lines. In 2014-15, he played with the great Daniel Winnick
I
and
miss that
Mike
guy.
Santorelli.
Oh yeah.
that guy's made up.
2015-16, Leo Komarov, Michael Grabner.
Hey, don't hate on
16-17.
Leo. That's my boy.
Leo Komarov and Connor Brown.
I remember that. Connor
Seven-
Brown used to not be as good as he is. He's better now.
17-18, Marlowe and Komarov couldn't get rid of him. And finally this year, Lindholm and Connor Brown.
You're switching out like mediocre for mediocre.
He's just never had it.
But like they're good players and they're in the NHL for a reason.
Yeah.
But they're third line players, like on any team.
I think Kadri is arguably a number one center.
depends on the team. Yeah, obviously depends on the team. Like
He's
if you're
just on
playing
the
with
wrong
Matthews,
team.
Tavares, like you're not going to be 1 or 2 because they're
No,
gonna
but
be
he's
1-2.
not. He's not.
But if
he
you go to,
doesn't- he
like-
doesn't have necessarily the individual talent to play with those guys. But his overall rounded game makes him one of the best two-way centers in the entire league.
Well, yeah, but like if he goes on most other teams, he wouldn't be their number 1C because most other teams have a player that's better than him. Like look at, I don't know, example.
Ottawa.
Oh no, he would probably be number 1. No, they got Duchesne.
Fair enough.
Kadri has plays against some of the best players in the in the league at his quality of competition percentile is in the 96th percentile. He plays against the top 4 best players in the entire league.
Well, he was matched up. I don't know if you remember Boston. He was matched up against the Marchand Pasternak
A
first
couple
round
of
line,
games he played.
which was the best line that I've seen play hockey in forever. Even though Marchand, I don't want to get started, but
I think we could have an entire podcast on Marchand.
I like him.
The hatred runs deep here.
It's just that he licks people.
What do you mean it's
That
a tactic?
you defended in.
I still defend it. It's just still gross.
It doesn't hurt people, but it's not
It's
hygienic.
It's just not needed, man.
We're rehashing a topic
Yeah,
here.
I don't want
but-
to talk about this again. It upsets me.
No,
But-
yeah, and I think that Matthews has been tagged with the injury prone. I mean, I saw an article that said, "Is it time to start thinking about Matthews as Joffrey Lee?
Yeah,
like
Lupo.
Joffrey Levo,
Lupo.
Lupo rather, and that kind of.
Joffrey Levo. And
Not-
this made up player. Is he on Roboto Island?
I think Robidaw Island is called Ibiza. That man's just living a good life. Like nothing away from Joffrey Lupo. He had a great career here. I really liked him. It's a shame that injury shortened his career.
Loops Troops.
But to get back to Cad, I mean, this guy is an absolute diamond in the rough. He's one of the best picks of the Brian Burke era. I think Bar Riley, he's the best pick of the Brian Burke era.
I was watching a video with Brian Burke talking about Kadri, and he was talking about how when he drafted him, apparently Kadri's dad was like, if he ever gives you trouble, just hit him in the head and call me.
Can we just appreciate Brian Burke?
I love him.
I hated him as
When he was
our Leafs GM,
oh, so many bad decisions.
but great media guy.
Yeah,
He's
so
hilarious.
funny. Whenever I see him on TV, I'm like, hey,
You're just happy. You're just like, oh, it's gonna be a good press conference.
Bri, let's go, buddy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, so I think that overall Kadri has stepped up big in the one game he played. I would argue that his line was one of the better lines that night.
Which
I
night?
think the second line against Calgary.
Oh, on Calgary.
I thought that.
Yeah,
I mean, we saw nothing from the first line.
I didn't like Tavares' play really. It wasn't like solely his play. It was that he's not used to working with Cappy and Hyman.
He's played with Hyman
Well, he's
all
played
year.
with Hyman all year, but he's not used to playing with Cappy, who's a lot of speed, and he's used to Marner on the other side, who's drives the play, and then he either taps it in or he also drives
Well,
play.
Tavares drives play as well, but now he's being
Mostly
depended
Marner
on.
on the line, though.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But now he's being depended on to create the majority of the
Yeah.
offense for his line. And I mean, we've seen him do it in the island.
Yeah.
I think that it's just an adjustment period, and he'll get over it. And
Yeah, I think like next game he'll be good again. Like he was
Yeah.
like okay last game. He wasn't terrible. He was still playing like well defensively, but it just didn't go our way. He didn't get all the chances. He wasn't driving play as well as he could have been. But he knows that. Like, no one's going to tell him something that he doesn't already know. He can feel his game better than anyone else. He knows what he's done wrong. But he's definitely the player that will come back, and he will drive the play on that line, and they will score goals.
I mean, another player that's been up with the Leafs has been Travis Dermott. I mean, he's supposed to be back in next time, and I think that gets back to the point of the Leafs just not having puck-moving defensemen, which is
I think that'll be a
something
big help.
I mean, I'm going to say it again. We saw it in the Boston series. They would just dump it to the right D, and our right-handed defenseman wouldn't know how to do anything with the puck. And I think that's what we saw last night. Calgary pushed us and forced us into turnovers in the defensive zone.
We literally just pass it to them for no reason.
Yeah. Every pass that you saw coming from the right defenseman, it was just a long pass that was easily turned over.
Even the left defenseman, honestly, both, like, all our defense were just yeeting the puck down the ice. And then it got picked off a couple times, especially out that one nice pass goal that, like, NHL posted on. And I was like, that's, like, it's a nice goal, but it's also just we were garbage.
And look at the defensemen that were out there. It was Riley and Gardner, our best defensemen. So, concerning.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't dwell on it too much. We lost a big guy, and I think that there was a lot of morale shift, but they're going to come back. And to go with a more lighter note on the Leafs, did anyone see that Halloween spooky video they did?
No.
Where the Leafs did? Where they, like, Carlton the Bear was inflatable, and he just, like, stood, like, as a statue, so he pretended that it was an empty inflatable.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And then he, like, scared, each individual Leaf, like, after practice. And everyone was, like, quality, and, like, Andreas Janssen, like, threw his phone. But the funniest one was Matthews. He screamed, like, ah! And he ran away. It was so good.
Austin.
I was like, that's going to lose
Austin's
some
like,
street
don't
cred.
hurt my other shoulder.
Not the coats.
Oh, the coats.
My coat collection, what should I do with it?
Austin Matthews has some great coats.
Well, the Leafs are back in action on Thursday night against the Dallas Stars. We're going to transition now to Ottawa. Where Mark Borowitzki got a 3-game suspension for smacking Eakins in the face
Like,
with
yeah,
his body.
3 games. I think it's kind of ridiculous, though. Looked pretty clean.
Yeah, well, especially because what we talked about last week with that hit, and we're talking about how it was only 2 games that it was given. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
It was a different guy, but
Yeah, no, I'm saying a different guy.
different
but,
guy, different circumstance.
But it was a
The
much
Pedersen hit?
Yeah, the Pedersen hit.
Yeah.
It was a much harder hit, in my opinion, and he got less games for it. This hit looked clean. It wasn't overly aggressive. It wasn't charged. He was just drifted into him, and it just happened bad circumstance that he injured him.
He got a 5-minute major for hitting too hard.
He hit him in the head, though. Like, we can't take that away.
I don't
and
know.
he's
I
coming.
don't see initial contact on the head.
Initial contact I see is right on the chin. I mean, I think a 3-game suspension is good. He's coming off a 1-game suspension for elbowing a guy in the face.
Man, the NHL is getting a little soft.
Yeah, it's the problem of, like, he has a track record.
It's like the NFL. Clay Matthews somewhere got a rough in the passer call for this.
He has a track record. That's the problem. Is he just came off his
And not
1-game
only,
suspension.
this was his first game back. I don't know if the NHL is becoming soft. I think that's what.
I just don't see
I think
it.
it's a game transitioning. It's nobody tunes in to watch the NHL for fights and hits anymore. It's now a nice side dish.
I love hits and fights in the NHL.
Oh,
and when it's
so
a
do
clean
I,
hit,
but that's not why I
he
watch
got
the NHL.
He got a 5-minute major for that hit.
He hit him in the head, though. Like, that's my thing.
I disagree. I don't think he hit him in the head. And, like, I don't think that there's factual evidence that he hit him in the head.
Well, there's the video where he
Yeah, but
hits him in the
He
head.
didn't hit him in the head initially. The initial contact was chest, and then it went up to his head. He went up with the hit.
Borowitzki is also bigger than him, so it doesn't help. But I think he hits him in the head. He's a player with a track record. And I think it's a fact of the game, of a transitioning game. Like, it's a game that's moving away from having tough guys, and now you have scores all down your lineup. And that's why people tune in.
Well, yeah.
At the end of the day, people tune in to watch the best players in the world do crazy things, and fighting and hits are a nice side dish.
I think fighting and hits should not be considered in the same category. A hit is taking a man away from the puck.
No, yeah.
That's what you're doing with a hit. And fighting is nothing to do with that. Fighting is an archaic thing that we do in hockey. I love it, personally. because it is just so fun to watch. I'm like, get him, go! But I prefer I prefer watching a game where big hits are getting laid. It's like playoff hockey. Everyone's way more intense. When hits are getting laid, people are more like get their heads up and they make better plays.
It could also be the factor of like, it actually matters now. So it's way tougher hockey, of course, in the playoffs because it matters way more. But it's also roughness is part of the game. It should still be part of the game, but it shouldn't be the highlight of the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to take away players who play with intensity. But I think that you need to punish things that are against the rules. You need to punish hits to the head.
But I don't think it was against her. I don't think it was a hit to the head.
But so that's where we disagree, and I completely disagree with you that it was not a hit to the head. I just see initial contact to the head. I don't think he meant to hit him in the head.
Well, on the YouTube video, I went to all of the comments. And usually when you go on a YouTube video with something controversial like this, I was thinking, okay, there's going to be half people saying, like, clean hit, no games. And then half the people going, oh, crazy hit to the head. The rest of the season, he's out. But then I went on it, and not a single person said it was a dirty hit. Every single person agreed with me thinking it was clean. And I don't know if that really means anything because, yes, it's a YouTube comment section and people aren't very educated. But when is every single person that I went through says the same thing, they're probably hinting at something.
It's definitely there. It definitely looked fine. It's just the problem of he was injured or like on the ice injured.
I don't even know if he left the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, he got a game misconduct.
No, not Borowitzki, Eakins.
Oh no, he didn't.
Yeah, but it's an injury on the ice, so basically they had to stop play because he was.
Well, they had to stop play because he was face down.
No,
Yeah,
they
face down,
stopped
so I
play
mean-
for the fight. Eakins wasn't
That
face
too.
down.
Yeah, he was.
He was starting
was.
to get up.
Oh.
I thought it was because he was
It
down.
looked completely fine. In my opinion, I agree with Ian here. It looked fine. It may have been the chin or the head, but it still was clean. He was just rattled. It wasn't a suspension worthy hit.
If he hit him in the chin, he would have been knocked out.
See, that's where I disagree with you guys. I think it's just a hit to the head, and that
But if he hit him in the chin, he would have been knocked out.
not necessarily.
Do you know how hard he was coming in?
It's
Do you know
not-
how hard
it's
that
not-
hit? When you get hit in the chin, you will be knocked out.
Not 100% of the time.
Like 99% of the time, if you're coming in at that speed and you get hit anywhere in the chin, like you're
it's
probably
more
you're
high
done.
chin. He hit him square in the face. That's my thing. He was coming in and he hit him like
in the chest.
yeah, he hit him directly in the chest, but his
It
shoulder
went up
he
into the
was
face.
taller and it hit him in the face. So that's why I think, and it's additionally he's coming off of a suspension. If he wasn't coming off of a suspension, I think the 5-game misconduct would have been perfect.
Like
You-
5-minute game misconduct.
Yeah, you
would've
kick
been
him out of
good.
the game, but he's in the lineup the next night.
Okay.
I think this is just a symptom of the league transitioning to one more based on skill. So you got to protect the players. So you're gonna see harsher crackdowns.
I know. I
It's
don't,
the evolution.
I don't
of the
like
game.
it.
It may be for the
And
worse.
I don't want to go back to where we punch each other and slash each other and do all these crazy things and no penalties are called because I think that's stupid and it's like players association, like the safety is all messed up. But I do like the fact where you can lay a big hit and a fight doesn't start immediately.
That's the problem. It's coming out of the game. So when people do see a big hit, they react like that and they hit and they throw
And they
you
throw
have
punches
some
back
man
and then
throwing hands.
everyone goes, that's controversial hit, even though it's probably just a clean hit.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree with you there. But if the players aren't gonna, but the players don't, the teams no longer have enforcers on their teams. So you have to have the league.
Ryan
step in.
Reeves.
Oh yeah, Ryan Reeves, who wasn't on the ice for that hit, and it still happened.
Big hit.
He's like an enforcer.
He is entirely an enforcer.
Yeah, so you can't say teams don't have enforcers.
No, but how many teams have an enforcer?
It's not as well
this is-
seen
it's
as
hard
it
to
u-
count.
Yeah.
The Leafs don't have.
I don't know the
The
names
Leafs
of the
don't have
enforcers
Colton
on, like,
Orr
Calgary.
on their fourth line anymore.
I miss that guy. Yeah, we had Matt Martin last year.
Well, yeah, I know, but
have
Matt Martin
Freddie
was
Gauthier now.
truculence.
Matt Martin. Yo, we also got some goals though. I remember he would be on
Freddie
the
the
breakaways and I
Goat
would
is
just laugh.
not an
Here's
enforcer.
a-
He's just a big body.
Yeah, he's just a huge guy. I didn't mean he was actually an enforcer. Ron Hainsey's our enforcer.
Oh yeah, big boy Ron.
He always just like hugs people and like grabs them in front of the net.
Ron's just a dad. He doesn't fight them. He lectures them. He's like, I'm disappointed in you.
I saw a video, like that same video where it was like they were scaring all the Leafs, and it was like someone was taking a video of the billboard, or the jumbotron, sorry, in the Scotiabank Arena. And like in the background, you hear the person taking the video after Ron Haynes. You're like, oh, you're gonna give him a heart attack. And I just thought it was very funny and a good anecdote to go with this conversation.
No, yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it's more a condition of a changing league than anything else, and I think that people online are going to complain. But I think that in maybe a decade or so, the game will have accepted it, and it will be
Like
so.
normal. Yeah.
It'll be intense in a different way. It'll be intense because you have teams going all out, and that's the hockey I want to see.
I want to bring in the John Tortorella thing where he was like, "There's not enough hate in the game anymore." People,
Ugh, John.
and like that's kind of ridiculous. I do enjoy good intensity, but I don't think hate is what you should be going with this.
No.
As in a playoff series, like I don't really think any two teams. Well, sorry, that's a lie. Two teams definitely hate each other, but I don't think that in a lot of playoff series, like especially the Leafs in Boston, I don't think the Leafs hate the Bruins or the Bruins hate the Leafs. I think there's just a crazy rivalry there, and it's super exciting to watch because you're like, what's going to happen next?
They just play hard when it comes to like a good series between them because of the rivalry between Toronto and Boston. It turns into a factor of, oh, they hate each other, quote unquote, but it's just the fact that they want to put up a good game because their fans will support them even harder when they're facing the other team.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you have a rival opponent like that, especially like when you're looking at Boston and Montreal, that's like one of the biggest rivalries in NHL history. It's got a lot of history with it, and when they played the other night, it was a crazy game, and it was exciting, and Montreal did win the game, but it was an intense game. Max Domi scored a goal, and it was a pretty nice goal. And Don Cherry really likes that guy.
But I think that Torts is like, I don't get it. Like the league has moved past that. There's more player movement, so these guys are each other's teammates.
No, yeah,
now.
it's mostly
teammates.
intensity. And like when you get traded to another team, like you don't go like you can go from like punching each other. I saw a funny video. It was like a GIF on Instagram. It was like Thornton and Crosby like duking it out as like Penguins against Sharks, and like Thornton like cross checks Crosby like 4 times and like knocks him down, and then like the next like there's like another clip, and it's like when they're playing together in the Olympics, and like he scores, and like Thornton comes over and gives him a big hug, and you're like, this is what this is. Like you can hate each other for 1 second and then love each other the next second.
Well, yeah, these guys are competitors. Torts makes it sound like they go out on the ice and they let their buddies skate right by them. That's just not how it. These are competitive players. I have the quote right here. He said, "It's a little frustrating, quite honestly. The game's changed, and for some dinosaurs that are in it, it's frustrating. I have to admit, and I mean it. I'm not joking about it. It's really frustrating to me in conversations on the ice amongst opponents on a face-off. It's like a big hug fest sometimes."
Man, I think he said frustrating like 4 times.
He makes it sound like they're going out there and hugging each other and being like, "Oh, it's okay. Crosby skate right by me."
No, everyone
that's
still chirps. Like
it doesn't see it.
In the Winnipeg game, who was it?
It was Levo and Line.
It was Levo and Line. They were going at it, and I love seeing chirps. But I don't think they hate each other. Like they probably don't even care.
It's a healthy banter where it's
Yeah.
like they're just chatting at each other and just insulting each other, and it's funny. But they
Get
get
your
off the-
Coke, Phil.
they
Claude
get,
Giroux's the best chirper in the game.
they get off the ice and they're probably like, "Oh, that was fun. I had a good time chirping the other guy," and they just don't care afterwards.
Yeah,
Like the game has moved. I mean, also with phones, it's now easier to stay in touch with everybody than it was before.
Yeah, so now you
so
hang
they
out.
know each. And the NHL's a small community.
Yeah, back in the day, like if like Montreal players like saw Boston players like on the streets, they would like fight,
Yeah.
and they would like be like, "Hey, oh, I hate you."
It's just not like that anymore.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like everyone's friends now. Like Matthews is friends with like Eichel and all those guys. Even though like I think Buffalo's gonna start to become a division rival because they're getting good, and I think Matthews and Eichel are gonna have a nice little rivalry going there.
But it's a healthy rivalry.
It's a healthy rivalry. Yeah, they
It's
don't
not.
hate each
I want to
other.
rip your face off.
Yeah, like
Torts is
Crosby and Ovi
suggesting.
have a rivalry, and it's intense because they're both really great
But
players.
then they get to the
yeah, but they're good. They're
they get
friends.
to the All Stars and they're just like, "Oh, hey buddy, how's it going?"
Yeah, like they hang out. Like
They get
play
to the
on
All
same
Stars.
team.
They allegedly
Allegedly
go out on the ice hungover and that's why the All-Star game is horrible.
Probably.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, it's not confirming, but like totally, but like not.
Nor confirming nor denying. But probably confirming. But I don't know. Not confirming. Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean anything. But going out from that intensity over rivalry thing.
People are talking about bringing back some pain to the goaltender position, and that's what has happened with the change of equipment. I'm going to read you the rules as per the NHL.com in the reduction. Elbow floaters have been reduced to from 7 inches to 6 inches across the front. Biceps and forearm pads must taper 5.5 inches to 4.5, then 4.5 to 4. Clavicle floaters cannot extend more than 2 inches above the shoulder at the lateral edge, 1.5 at the midpoint, and 0.5 inch at the medial edge. Shoulder caps cannot project laterally beyond shoulders more than 1.5 inches.
It's just they're shrinking the equipment. And people are saying it's dangerous for the goalies. I don't think it's more dangerous for the goalies. I really don't think it's affecting their safety that much. People used to be able to shoot like high double digits, low triple digits, like
It's so much
slap
different now that
shots.
now they're
These
using
sticks, like
using fiberglass sticks that allow you to shoot so much hard.
I
think
know.
it's different, and you don't want your goalies to get hurt.
yeah, but I don't
There's
think
goalies
they're
in
adding. They're okay. I'm a goalie, and yes, I think that shrinking equipment is going to make you not as good because it's going to shrink your equipment. But there is a lot of puff space on equipment that does not need to be there.
No,
it
and that's
is
not what
covering.
I'm saying.
It's this shoulder thing is the big thing that they changed right now. The shoulder thing are big, man. Like they go a lot above your shoulder that doesn't need to be there.
And it's 100% like they've tested it. It's not like let's just fiddle around with some numbers here and we're gonna change all this equipment. There's 100% tests of is this
they
equipment
test the
changed?
safety.
No, yes, but then you have goalies like James Reimer, and I'm quoting, "I've never flinched in my life. I consider myself a tough guy. I'm from the country. I can take a few bruises here and there, but at what point? At what point is one guy going to let one loose and a guy's going to break his arm?" When the goalies are telling you that they are afraid to take shots, that they're afraid to get shots, you see goalies take less shots in warm-up. You don't see them take as many shots in practice.
Coaches tell you not to hit the head.
It affects the mindset of the goalie. If they're going out afraid that they're going to get hurt, and it wears.
I think
down
you're
on
using
that.
one example as
There's so many quotes here. Right from Braden Holtby. Sooner or later, someone's going to
I
get.
saw that too.
Someone's going to get hurt.
This was all
pretty
last
bad.
year.
This is this year.
This was all earlier, like last year. I remember all these quotes.
Last year they did the pads. This year they're doing the shoulder protectors, and that's what goalies are taking exception to.
Well, all these quotes, like
This-
the Braden
this-
Holtby and James Reimer thing, was from last year. I remember these quotes coming out. I remember when James Reimer like he showed like bruises and stuff.
This quote is from October 24th, 2018, from Braden Holtby, published in the Associated Press.
Okay.
James Reimer's quote is from October 24th in the Associated Press. These are quotes from this year, and they're talking about the pads.
I remember all these conversations happening last year. Also,
Well, it was with the pads, and I don't know as much about the pads, but if I'm seeing goalies that are complaining that they're afraid to get hit with the puck, these guys shoot hard, and you have to protect your goalies. You can't tell me that you're not going to protect the goalies.
no, I agree. I don't think that it's actually affecting how many bruises they're getting.
Yeah, but you say that without being in the net compared to what the goalies are saying, who are actually facing these pucks. They're saying that they're taking more bruises, that they don't want to see as many shots.
Are these just Braden Holtby and James Reimer saying this? Or is
Holtby,
it
Reimer,
more?
Grabowski,
Because I haven't read much into this.
Borset, and Lundqvist. It's a good portion of the goalie population who are saying it. Freddie said it as well.
It's the initial, but there's also the fact that it's change.
No,
everyone's resistant to change. No one wants it to change, and if
It's also making it harder to get good numbers.
especially because it's a reduction. It's not increasing anything. It's a reduction of equipment. So they're saying that they're worried, but it's also there could be a second agenda where it's like
Like they're not taking away any padding that they didn't have before. They're just taking away extra places that it would go extending from your body to make it
Well,
bigger.
they are taking away padding because they're
shrink
to
it's,
shrink
yes,
the
to
actual
shrink the
size of
equipment,
the
but the
chest
equipment that
protector.
was there already extends past your body that it doesn't need to. Like I've had equipment. My pants are so big.
Well, yeah, I know, but you weren't facing NHL shots. That's
My
what I'm
pants were
saying.
too big for NHL shots. They would have shrunk those down in the NHL because they were ridiculous.
Okay, yeah, before.
No, now, yeah, like last year.
Yeah, and now they're shrinking down the chest protector. I think.
Yeah, chest protectors, shoulders. The one thing about chest protector, my chest protector, I played at a garbage level hockey and I would get bruises with my chest protector.
Yeah. So they're further shrinking it down with
But
guys.
they're not. It's not gonna affect how many bruises you're gonna get.
How is it not if there's less protection?
It's not less protection. It's the same amount of protection on your body. It's less protection to places that aren't your body.
It's an extension to your quote.
It's just adding padding to where there doesn't need to be padding.
Yeah,
And so they're removing that to try to make it easier to score, which I think they could have just made the nets a little bit bigger.
Ugh, the nets bigger is not the best idea because then you have to. Then it's a whole thing that,
It's
you have to
easier.
rework.
It's easier to reduce the goalie's equipment size than change everyone's.
Listen, I think
the
if they
general
want
goal
scoring
size.
up, there's other things that you can do without
you
touching the
could
goalie
get rid of
equipment.
icings on power plays.
Get
as
rid
you
of
suggested.
icings on power plays.
Like
which
you can't ice on a penalty kill.
Which
anymore.
doesn't make
Oh,
which
okay.
doesn't make sense to me because why should you be allowed to do something that's not in the game on a penalty kill? And there's the argument that it would tire people out and it would be a handicap, but that's what a penalty is.
It's already a handicap. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
It's
know.
already a big enough. It's already a very decent handicap. Like teams are averaging what 20
20,
25%
25%
25%
in and
of the
about.
power play. That's like a solid amount of
No,
scoring
yes.
per power play, which is
No, yes, but I think at the end of the day,
you want to increase that to like
you
40%.
want to protect your goaltenders, and that's the
And
main
I don't,
issue.
and I really think that maybe there needs to be more testing to make sure they don't get bruises. But I don't think that they're going too far with reducing the size. I think it's very fair.
I don't know. I just read some of these quotes from the goalies, and
You're looking at a lot of personal anecdotes.
Well,
where
yeah,
yes,
they are
they're-
anecdotal experiences, but I just see the sample size as being too large to see that this is not an issue.
I just okay. That's
That's
fair.
my thing.
It's fair, which I can see where you're coming from. I just don't. I see it as being kind of irrelevant because I think they are doing not wrong things. They're not making it more dangerous really for the goalie. You're already taking 100 miles per hour slap shots to the face.
Yeah, no, I just read accounts from Robin Lehner and stuff and worry the goalies are going to start self-medicating for themselves because they're afraid to stop the puck, and that's their job because their protection isn't enough. And from reading these quotes, that's what I gather, that their protection isn't enough, and you might see more guys trying to self-medicate with alcohol.
Okay, that's okay. That's reasonable. That's pretty extreme.
Like when I hear James, I mean, we just talked about James Reimer's quote, but I mean, goalies on all sports are crazy. They're the ones that willingly stand in front of the puck. When you're afraid and you're flinching, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't see Freddie flinching in net. I don't see James Reimer flinching in net. I don't see Henrik Lundqvist flinching in net.
but
They're saying that they're more scared now, which okay, I get you can be, but I haven't read enough into this to say that they don't have these like crazy like bruises and stuff. But I just don't think that shrinking the equipment is what's doing it. I think it's the progression of sticks.
I don't know, because you're hearing all of this come out this year, and you didn't hear this in the past, and it's not like we're saying there was a crazy revolution in stick technology over a year. That's my thing. That it's more, there's all of these anecdotes from goalies that are coming out against it, that they're worried about not having the protection. And I know that could be a biased view, that they want to stop as many pucks as they can, but
Yeah, but then you could also argue that players shouldn't block shots then.
yeah.
And what are we gonna
What
do that
a
now?
resolution.
I don't know. I just
So I don't see why Freddie or a goalie can complain when their guys on penalty kills are literally wearing nothing and blocking shots.
no, yeah.
And yes, you don't take as many, which that's a big factor, but these guys get hit in like the stomach all the time, and they get hit in like their hands and like places where they don't have protection, like their forearms, and it hurts a lot. But then they just keep playing. And are they going to start self-medicating with alcohol too?
I don't know, but I think there's just the fear in net that they are. And can we talk about poor John Gibson just to round off this podcast?
Man, Anaheim, pick it up for him.
Oh, poor
He's so
John.
good.
It hurts.
So he faces 38.8 shots per game.
That's so many shots.
That's the most
Isn't it
in the league.
that they haven't not let in more than 35 shots in a game? Is that what it is? Like
Well-
their least amount of shots is like 35.
Well, John Gibson has seen 384 shots this year
and that's
in 10 games.
not hold on. That's 36 more than the next, who is Craig Anderson at 348. And he has stopped 360 of those 384. And his save percentage is, what's his save percentage? 932?
934, and can I just say
934.
that I dropped John Gibson right off the start of the season because I thought Anaheim wasn't going to do well. Let's go Declan's fantasy team.
Where in our fantasy,
Man, you're catching up though.
Oh,
You got
20
a lot of points.
20
last
points
night.
behind, I
Yeah,
know.
I was like 150 points up from you at one point.
I had two good nights.
Yeah, Austin Matthews is still on my starting lineup because I was gonna take him out, but then I wasn't. I was like, he'll be back in like a couple days, so I'll be fine. Like I'll leave him in, and now Torrey Krug's coming back. He was on my IR, so that's nice.
yeah.
Sorry, these are random things about fantasy hockey.
our small
Well,
fantasy hockey.
Isn't that what podcasts are for? Just talking about our fantasy hockey teams.
Well, my fantasy football team is garbage, but that's irrelevant.
That's irrelevant.
Well, John Gibson saw 36 shots last night against Philadelphia.
Oh my god!
I just feel bad for the man. He's doing well, but when you face so many shots in a game, you're gonna let one in eventually. So it's
like
you can't.
He's 4-4 and
Oh,
2.
Gibson did not start last night because he got berated by the San Jose Sharks the other night.
It just hurts.
It's just scary. Like when you're playing at that level of Gibson, 934 save percentage, and you can't win more than 50% of your games. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's rough.
That night he saw 49 shots on goal against the San Jose Sharks.
49.
How many did he let in?
3.
What do you mean, buddy? He's so
Oh
good.
my god.
Well,
Dallas the night previous, not preview. Preview is not a word. He saw 41 shots.
oh my god, how many did he let in?
He let in 5 goals.
Okay, that's
It's
when
a
you
little
get
more reasonable.
when you hit the 40 shot mark. I find in a game you decrease your save percentage by a lot. When you face 30 shots in a night, I think that's prime territory to have a great save percentage because that means you've been like probably equally tested throughout the night and you've stayed warm. Because when you get cold, like your team, when they don't get a shot on you for like 5-10 minutes, it sucks. Because like you're cold in net and you kind of lose your groove a little bit. When you're getting 40 shots in a game, though, it tires you out.
The night before against Chicago, low end of things, 38 shots on goal.
Oh, thank God.
What an
nice.
easy night for John Gibson. But, I mean, I think we all expected Anaheim to not be great this year. They're an old team that's dealing with a bunch of injuries.
Yep.
But poor John Gibson,
I
man.
feel bad. Remember when we took Freddie? Sorry, we traded for Freddie, but I say took because
John Gibson is a great goalie. Frederick Anderson is a great goalie. I just feel bad for John Gibson to be stuck in Anaheim.
yeah, I do. But you never know. Like they could
It
they
could
be
100%
mediocre
turn
and then
around.
only finish 20th.
Yeah, only 20.
And I don't. I like it's looking at the other side of Anaheim though. The other goalie from that area of the world / America. We're talking about Quick. Now he is out with a torn meniscus. And he is going to require surgery, which means he's out indefinitely. We don't know when he's going to be back. But his stats throughout the season were 0-3-1 and an 845 save percentage. And he has already missed 5 games, and now it's until he comes back. What do you make of this?
Listen, I think the Kings are garbage. There's no other way to put it around it. I mean, they're an old team that got older this summer.
Yeah, they did.
Don't they have enough?
They're not
They do.
fast.
Everything's
Fanuc, he's a
explained.
pylon.
They're not fast, and now they're missing their goalie. Like, I don't think it's gonna be a fun one.
I do really like Peter Budaj, but
But he's not Jonathan Quick.
yeah, no, you can't. Like Jonathan Cook's one of the best goalies in the league. He's as you could say, quick.
He's very quick.
Ah, ha ha
Ha ha.
ha ha ha. No, but he's a great goaltender, and it's always sad when you see these great guys go out, especially when they need surgery, because then they're not going to be back for a long time, and then when they come back, they're usually shaky for a bit. So we're not going to see John Quick probably. I don't even know how long. I don't know how long torn meniscuses take to heal.
Well, I don't know how relevant the Kings are going to be in the next couple of years. They're headed for a big rebuild. I mean, it looked like it was going to be Tyler Toffoli's team. He hasn't really turned out how they wanted him to be.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be better. He looked really good, and he has not performed.
I think it's going to be dark days in Los Angeles for their hockey team, but there's plenty of other things that they can go watch. I think
Like the Dodgers losing.
the World Series.
World Series.
Shout out Red Sox. I mean, as a Torontonian, I think this was probably not the World Series I wanted. Personally, I wanted the Brewers to win because I always cheer,
Milwaukee deserves it.
and I love Moose. But
Moose.
shout out Boston Bruins for winning the World Series.
Bruins?
The Boston
Red Sox.
Red Sox. Did I say Bruins?
Yeah,
You
you
did.
did.
I saw a funny picture today on Twitter. It was like a kid from Boston wearing like a Red Sox jersey, and he was like 16 years, 11 parades, and it was all of the Red Sox championships, the Celtics championship, the Bruins championship, and the New England Patriots championships.
Yeah, I hate Boston. I'm sorry,
They are
Boston.
so good at sports. They're the worst, man.
There's not a Boston team I like. I hate the Patriots.
I like the Patriots.
I hate the Red Sox.
Tom Brady's the GOAT, but
Uh,
Red Sox,
I-
I don't know.
Red
Sox
care.
are bearable.
I don't really care
They're-
about
they're
MLB.
like
Nah,
the
nah,
one
nah,
team
nah, nah,
that's-
nah, 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 nah.
I'm
They're
not a
full
big fan
Boston.
of the MLB. Oh, but I do like what's his name, Manny Machado. No,
Dodgers.
No, that's
No, what's his name?
Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts. Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking of. My bad. I don't know enough baseball, but I like him. And who else is in Boston? The Celtics. I like Jason Tatum. Him and Kyrie Irving had to go 1-on-1 the other day. It was cool.
But I think before we get off into things that we don't really know much about, we'll call it for this edition of the Real Good Procast for Declan DeBarb, Ian Blumenthal, and Sebastian Court, producer Seb. Thank you for listening.
Peace out.
Follow your hosts on Twitter at DeBarp14, at Ian_Blumenthal, and at Marshall Healy. Don't forget to follow the podcast at Real Good Procast.